Next time.
Yo, it's Dave. Yes, I left Cali behind. The Dave Not in Cali show, one of a kind. Sundays, 5 p.m. Central. Truth you can. That's for more real people, real talk. Tune in, we'll explore.
You know, the whole thing where it starts out as like says real people, that sounds pretty, like, well, it's real people. But no, I mean, we're not there. AI. that's making a statement nowadays. You're being edgy by using a real person.
Yeah, real people.
real people.
For real.
Well, you never know. Yeah, you never know nowadays. Wow. So, yeah, there's quite a bit going on down there. What was that guy's name? Let me look that up. The leader of the new generation. What is it? How do you pronounce it? Jalisco, Jalisco. Is that?
Yeah, Jalisco. Yeah,
Jalisco.
Yeah,
Jalisco, knock me down.
Yeah, so their leader, Mencho, apparently got shot, and they took him to the hospital, and he died on the way. So they're all pissed off and creating havoc at the airport. And I think I got a little.
They tipped over all the porta johns, by the way, too. That was hell watching that. And I was like, damn, there's somebody in there, and poop was running all out. And I was like,
Looking at footage of the Guadalajara airport in Mexico as cartel gunmen have stormed the area and multiple other locations across Mexico.
Too bad he's not good with the phone.
People running for their lives, as you can see right here, out of the back of the Guadalajara airport. This is all in connection to the capture or killing of Mencho.
Mencha, that's how they pronounce it. Mencha.
The members that are said to be behind all this are members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or the CJNG.
I think he's reading.
They apparently stormed this international airport. This is in retaliation for the death of their notorious leader, Nemesio El Mencho Azguero. Now, there was a military operation that was pulled off in downtown, and apparently they took his life. And in response, all hell is breaking loose. People.
Yeah, and it goes on. He just goes on and on. It gets really kind of gets a little boring after that. But so they say that they saw some of our troops down there, and some of our troops have been working with the local government down there for at least a month now. So kind of looks like we're kind of stirring some things up down there.
That's good. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking. Well, I'm glad that at least the government down there is starting to take a proactive approach to the cartel. But I was looking this guy up, and I found out that he was, he got arrested up in San Francisco, spent for drug related crimes. He got 3 years in prison up here, and then after the 3 years, he got released, got in trouble, and got deported. And then he went down to Mexico, where he obviously got deported to, and he became a police officer.
Oh wow!
Like really? Yeah. So for like 3 years or so, he was a police officer. So I don't know. I mean, he came. His parents were like farmers. There's no connection to gang related stuff. Or even cartel stuff from his parents' side. But I think while he was a police officer, he probably got approached, and he was probably on the take, and he worked his way into the organization, quit as a cop, but then he knew all the inside scoop on the police and so forth. Probably had friends there and just in the police force, and it just kind of strange that all the events, and here he becomes what's considered today one of the most powerful cartel leaders. Well, was now. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's not uncommon down here. Here in Brazil, I'm sure you recognize the name Bolsonaro.
Uh,
Bolsonaro used to be quote unquote basically the head of the police at one time, and he was, of course, well connected. That's one of the parts of the problem that brought the distractions down here. Like our January 6th was, I believe it was the 7th of January the following year down here. But yet the same basic thing, but it was all connected with that. Now you have it's either the military or the police that is connected with some particular politician, whether it's here in Brazil, whether it's Colombia, Venezuela. We of course know what's going on there, but that's the way it works down here. You can be like the haciendas, which be Spanish or fazendas. The difference there is that it's unlike America. In other words, if you live on a farm by where you are, Dave, or where you are, William, you commit a crime, everybody, the local sheriffs can know about it, and everybody else is. But down here, it's only going to be a local guy that's going to know that you committed a crime, and they don't really care. They'll invite you into to their police department. So that's absolutely not a problem to find out there are multiple people in the police department that are actually once upon a time criminals. But they don't look at it that way. Down here, you made a crime. If it really wasn't that horrific, so what? Big deal. We forgive you. You did your time or whatever, and away you go. So that's the way it's not uncommon down here, literally. And even
Yeah.
out by the lake, we've got a lake here, right out behind the building, which is where they have this, where they pull cars over. They set up bottles, and they shoot bottles out of the back, just like you would figure in the 1800s. They just stack them up on the top of the fence, and they shoot them for target practice. Heaven help it if they would miss, because the road swings around back there. If they would miss, they could hit a car or a truck. But it's just certain things are done, the modern way, and other things are done a different way. It's just a whole different world.
Hey, Lisette,
Hey,
Hey,
listen.
Lisette, how you doing? Oh, dang, whoops.
long
Dang.
time. Yeah, no see.
Long time no see. Yep. Let's see here. What is this? So this is the aftermath of the some of the shootout stuff going on here. What is? I have not vetted this video, so I'm gonna have to stop it before it gets too graphic. What is this here? Oh wow, is that somebody's like piece of a leg or something? Oh, oh wow. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
We get that up. You know what's funny? It's something. It really it doesn't bother me when that gang members have it out with each other. It's kind of like the universe sort of balancing itself out. Is that wrong for me to be so cold blooded?
Well, yeah, people have said that, like when you cheer for a criminal gets shot and killed, and then they go, yeah, but he was still a person. Yeah, I get it, but
No,
geez,
no, dude. Look, let me
No.
explain something to you about this. Let me show you. Let me explain how this plays out. So that dude that was in North Carolina that went down to Florida with shotguns and gas cans to go do harm to a bunch of people in Mar-a-Lago, right? You got people up, and this is right in my area. I mean, it's in the same county that I live at that this dude came from, right?
Yeah.
And there's people going, prayers for the family and prayers. I said, I went into the comment section of the newspaper who put the article out, and I shared a picture of him standing in front of a mirror with his long transgender self, topless, with a cigarette in his hand. I said, oh yeah, by the way, he was trans. Because let me tell you something right now. I have zero remorse for these people. And I hate to be that way, but I don't hate to be that way, because let me explain something to all of you and anybody in the comment section.
You don't, but I understand it. I get
No,
it.
I don't. I look, they want the same for me. They want me gone. I haven't done anything wrong except for try to sustain your life and everybody else's by producing a message that has sustainability for the future of everybody. They want to destroy everything. So they're in the wrong and I'm not. There's just no, that's not perception. That's what it is. There is
But
no room.
But William, it's a mental illness too. That's the whole 9 yards about this.
Nah, let me tell you something right now. Hey, hold on. I have been around mental illness all my life. I have seen
Oh,
it.
we
I
can
have.
tell. No.
Yeah. Well, look, all I know is I know the mental health field, how this all works. Very well versed on everything, and 90% of mental illness is their own fault. That's just no doubt about it. That might sound cruel, but 90% of the people who are mentally ill is because of their own self. It's like a person while like stepping in, like you remember that movie, The Jerk, whenever the dude's
Yeah.
dad that was adopted says, "Hey, this right here is horse shit, and this is Shiloh," and he just laughs and walks right into the horse shit. You know, I'm like, this is your fault. You're the one who bought into this stuff. Many, many times people said, "Hey, try to do a little better," and you go, "I can't. It's all I need." And so they manifest their own mental illness to the point that they get to this place, and whether or not the parents probably had something to do with this as well by with the assassination attempt to whoever in Mar-a-Lago. But this also goes to all the stuff that's going on in Mexico. This is all their fault. They did this, and there's been many opportunities for them to look at themselves in the mirror and say, "I could do something different, but I choose this lifestyle." So no, I have no remorse for those people. They had it coming, and the world is now a safer place. So, I don't care what anybody thinks by me saying that. But more people need to feel that way because the more people who placate to their
Well,
mental illness
Lisette
and handle
agrees
this
with
stuff.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Lisette. Yeah, the more people that placate to their mental illness or their lifestyles because of such and such, you're pretty much buying into this equity thing that's only there to manifest to more negativity. As soon as they realize that nobody gives a shit about them and it's all them, you're going to see people that go, I better do better because obviously I'm going to have some. You'll see people that will do better. They will pick themselves up by their.
Yeah, because they're looking at it completely backwards. Rather, they don't want to change themselves, so they want to change everybody around them to accept them or whatever their weirdness is, or whatever they're doing, or whatever, you know.
Or they just get off on the fact that they love when people try to help them and then they turn it away because it gives them some sort of empowerment. So you know what? The hell with you. You just go on and cut off your genitalia. Take your medicine for your depression to where it makes you complete nut jobs. Do your ganging and you're shooting at each other and all just go ahead, just do it. I'll sit back and watch and see how this turns out. I'll just have at it, guys. So that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
It's there's no dealing with these people to begin with, because a lot of them, I would tend to say most of them, are looking for the attention. They're either if you look, they're either really extremely fat. I'm not just talking about fat. I'm talking about obese. I mean obese, and they've gotten to a point where, okay, how can I make myself look more freakish? Let's put like 5 things in my lips here, and let me put 10 in my nose. Let me shave my head on one side bald, and the other side let's make it colors of the rainbow. In other words, they're trying to make themselves look as freakish as possible to gain attention. And there are other people out there go like, hey, he looks just like me, or she, or we, they, or whatever. And they invent all this crap, and they go home at night. They go home feeling better. I tend to think that they go home feeling better because say like, geez, that cat I just saw today, he was really worse looking than me. You know, it feels a lot better saying I look like this. And somebody else looks like me. That's I'm doing good.
The real sad thing about it is that half of our country tried to, console these people and try to change how everybody acted around and tried to make this normal, or tried to normalize this kind of activity, the way they act.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand, generations go through trends and popular things like, back in my day, guys grew really long hair, when I was in junior high and so forth.
Yeah.
There's always a different kind of trend throughout the different generations. It's like a phase, but it looked like people that got stuck in a phase, and now
that's what they have. They have.
It's cool to be that way. No, it's not.
No, it's not cool to be that way. I mean, I think we all can remember. I remember being like 12 years old or 13 years old, somebody grab a bottle of peach schnapps out of their father's liquor cabinet, and they brought it out. It was on a Saturday night where the dance was, and everybody, oh man, give me some of that. It's the first time anybody's ever put liquor to their mouths, and they pretend like they're taking a whole big swig of it. They're not. The bottles have to pass by 10 people. The bottle's still 90% full. It's just the point of, we used to do those sort of things.
Yeah,
So somebody's like,
pour shot glasses, so we know that you're drinking it.
right, or even try to smoke a cigarette. Even the doobies back in those days. That was something else. Like, oh yeah, I smoke marijuana all the time. This, that, or the other. It's just, it gets crazy. But they're
Finally won the war on woke.
Not what it was.
Trans people can't play sports anymore. The government will only recognize 2 genders now, male and female. The federal employees can't put their pronouns in their email signature anymore. DEI is all but dead. Those elitist, woke, liberal universities are losing all of their federal grants and contracts. Elon Musk is taking his chainsaw to the government and firing half of the federal workforce. Donald Trump is going to bulldoze Gaza and turn it into a beachfront golf resort. People lost their student loan forgiveness. You finally got all those tariffs and the tit-for-tat trade war with our closest allies that you wanted so damn badly. Hell, you even got your plastic straws back in the Gulf of America to boot. So, are your lives better now? All that stuff that you were complaining about for the last 4 years, is any of it better? Is your life more affordable? Can you afford groceries, healthcare, childcare?
Yeah, he's trying to flip it around.
Mortgage, rent, insurance.
I don't know who this guy
Any
is.
of that better? No? It's almost as if trans people weren't the reason your lives were so miserable. Some of you aren't ready to have.
Yeah. He's trying to flip the script.
yeah, it's
Orders. Yeah.
nobody's buying what he's trying to sell.
So what's Lisette saying here? Trans in my EVI 5. What is that? Office.
Oh, yeah. I see.
I couldn't believe
trying
it.
to help me ask for someone else. I couldn't believe it. Yeah.
No, she said
Man.
vets. It's supposed to mean vets. Yeah. Okay.
That's yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's not
That's-
good. Yeah, that's. Yeah, we went to
crazy.
eat at we went to one of those restaurants. What is it called? Outback, where it's it's supposed to be an Australian themed restaurant, but it's pretty much just another.
We've got them down here too, William. We've got them here too.
Anyhow, this dude comes is trans. I'm like, God Almighty.
Didn't we go to that restaurant when I was out there? You, me, Rhonda, and your wife. We went to a steakhouse, and one of the waiters there was there. I swore.
I think that's the one. I might have been it. Yeah, it's the only one. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I guarantee. Oh man, yeah, that was it. You were there for that. Yeah.
I just kind of bit my tongue on that one. We all pretended like what's going on.
Well, I think it was. We had there was more than one. It was a black trans there too, which was weird. Not really. Well, he was pretty gay, but I don't know if he was trans. But anyways, it was really. It's just. None of this would have been a thing if they'd have just not been trying to talk to the kids. That'd have been nice. Like, you could have been trans. You could dress up like a clown with boobs. I don't care. But the moment you want to like immediately get access to children and read them books about how fun it is to allow people to do butt stuff with you, that's not cool.
Yeah.
That is not cool. That is a line in the sand right there, buddy. And the moment that you got mad and offended because I got mad and offended about that, now we've got a bigger problem because that's called hubris. That's not good. Not too good. God almighty.
I saw on Twitter today that Trump's approval rating on jobs has fallen in the poll. They took a poll of, I guess you would say African American or Black Americans, and he like down to 15%. And then I was looking at the history, and in his first administration, it was like 12%. So I actually think he's doing better this year.
Mm.
I'm just trying to change the subject.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Well, yeah, no, you're good. No, that's fine. That's fine. It's a good observation. I think an easy poll jump would be to stop defending Ed Lutnick. At any moment, you could say, "I fired Ed Lutnick." Everybody, be like, "Whoa, yeah, yeah."
Well, that's the other thing came up. They were talking about the unemployment numbers and so forth, and that they're not really as good as they're saying because he fired so many federal people that it actually jacked the numbers up against it. It sent the unemployment actually up. But if you take non-government workers, then it's way down. So there was a big sector that added to the.
You got to keep in mind too that a lot of the illegals that were sent back shipping or left their jobs and what have you, those really shouldn't count either. But somehow or another, that's still in the equation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, what do you got down there? Oh, what's that? You got? Let's see. You got something.
I'm just looking at headlines right now. We're kind of thumbing through stuff. It says fake news media attacks Kash Patel for celebrating with Team USA, the hockey champs, after Olympic gold. Well, I'm thumbing through headline, and I'm sitting there thinking, Gateway pundit. Okay, look, you were cool when they were manipulating elections. You were pretty good about reporting them, but you sure are shilling. You're not. I mean, like, let's go ahead. This is what's really bad is that it's like we're Kash Patel sucks. He sucks. Pam Body, they defend Pam Body, defend Kash Patel. I'm like, dude, these people suck. you need, as Gateway pundit, to report on the realistic life. I mean, this is what probably could be helping to cloud Trump's judgment because he doesn't. I don't know how much he pays attention to alternative conservative media, but you've got these stupid shills out there like, yeah, Kash Patel. Oh, I'm like, he covered up everything related to trying to figure out who. Not only with, who was, there. Yes, you had the dude the trans guy who shot at him on that rooftop. That happened,
right?
But the actual involvement of the infrastructure to prop that guy up and get the guy the opportunity to make a successful shot is so deep, and it entails so many things that involve the riots or protests. If he were to start investigating what was behind that Charlie Kirk assassination, just aside from the dude who was on the rooftop, he would solve so many other crimes and prevent so many other future crimes, but instead shut down all alternative investigations, anything else, completely cut off anything that Tulsi Gabbard was doing. There was a massive cover-up in the FBI due to Kash Patel. And then he completely, absolutely, 100% told the biggest lies about what was really going on with Epstein stuff. So did Dan Bongino. And it just bothers me that you got, these
why? I look at it and I think to myself, why are these people doing a, kind of a sideways shift? Is there something that they're finding out that now all of a sudden they're part of the problem?
No, I'll tell you exactly what it is. I'll tell you exactly why we're having such a massive cover up when it comes to Charlie Kirk, Epstein stuff, and this goes across the whole Trump administration and Trump included. You want to know why? Israel. Yeah. They run the show. They're calling the shots. And because if you really look into the depth of the Epstein stuff, you're going to find out just how closely tied he was to Israel, Mossad, nothing against the Jewish people because they're great people, but just like that lady who just got recently fired or taken off of the religious board that they had because she spoke out because it's the Israel religion, Jewish religion, to believe a certain thing about Christianity, God, and the difference into how we have a belief that our secular, that our our ascension is not on this earth, and they think it happens here. And so there's a whole difference in this whole thing works. And she was just pretty much asking a question and laying out the facts of how the Catholic religion works versus the Jewish religion. And she got fired. She got taken off of that board. But that's a whole nother ball game altogether. But when you find out just how the modern day Israel was put together through the organized crime back in the 20s, you need to look. Everybody needs to learn that. I'm not attacking Jewish people because they're innocent. They're just kind of caught in the middle of all this stuff. And then what ended up happening was these really, really terrible government of that have hide the Talmud, which basically is what is like, if you want to look at how Muslim religion came to be, it's based off the Talmud stuff. But that's a whole nother video altogether. But when you find out just exactly how much is really going on with the modern day Israel and the crime syndicate that operates the United States and why the United States bows and bends the knee, that's what is really going on. That's Muslims are dangerous to America, and so are modern day Israel government people. You put those two. By the way, they, in my opinion, facilitate the Muslim movement in the United States, because if I was smart and I wanted to destroy a country, I wouldn't do it myself because I'd get blamed for it. So I would convince all these politicians to bring in Muslims who hate Jewish people. By the way, but basically they'll tear everything down and completely annihilate culture. then you just displace those people that are already mad at Jewish people anyway. So it wouldn't matter if they had to do that. So that's just my opinion, but it seems like to be the case because with AIPAC, if they hated Muslims so bad, they would just AIPAC politicians to get rid of Ilhan Omar and all those people and everything, but they don't. They bring more of them in because they understand they'll destroy this country for the sake of Israel because that's what they want. I know it's kind of a little bit of a far stretch, but that's the reality. Do what you want with your life, just don't mess with the children. Exactly. Well, yeah, that's probably, I don't know when that comment was, but there's a lot of people who would get offended at what I just said, but that's reality.
Yeah.
Because
I know.
Check this out. Another thing. Okay, somebody would say, well, because of the Holocaust, these people get a pass, right? And I say, okay, well, fine. So that means that because of slavery, that all black people can do whatever they want to do too, right? They go, no. Well, that's the same thing. You're going to use a tragedy that happened a long time ago that 90% of the people aren't even, 100% of the people aren't even alive anymore, and then they're going to ride on the coattails of a Holocaust, even though it was really, really bad, not taken away from it. But at some point in time, humanity has to move on, otherwise you never progress. But you use that Holocaust to have all this hatred towards another group of people, or basically gives you a red carpet for you to just do whatever you want to do, say whatever you want to say, censor whoever you want to censor, just for the sake of your own heritage because of the Holocaust. Well, then you might as well just give all black persons that were ever involved in any kind of slavery, go ahead and just get your reparations out. Let them do whatever they want to do. Let them just take your house. Let them just censor anything you want to say, because that'd be the case. And then eventually I'll get to be the repressed one. Not in my lifetime, but my son might. My son will grow up and be repressed. And he gets to do whatever he wants to do. But right now, we're in the middle of that. Anyways, that's my rant.
Yeah, that's your rant.
That's my rant.
Well, and the thing about, because we're talking, blacks right now, we're on that subject. So many of them are Democrats. I mean, probably overwhelming Democrats. Yet they ignore history, and I kind of like showing these videos on Facebook. Friends on the other side of color. Like
Republican president Lincoln wanted to free the slaves. Democrats fought a war to keep their slaves. Republican President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing all slaves in America. Democrat slave owners were furious. Lincoln made equality for all black people part of the official Republican Party platform. Republicans wrote and passed the 13th Amendment, ending slavery forever in the United States. Most Democrats voted against it. Republicans wrote and passed the 14th Amendment and granted citizenship and equal protection under the law to former slaves. No Democrats voted for it. Republicans wrote and passed the 15th Amendment, allowing Black Americans the right to vote. No Democrats voted for it. The first Black senator was a Republican. The first Black member of the U.S. House of Representatives, a Republican and former slave. In fact, the first 23 African American members of Congress were all Republican. While Republicans were electing Black people to Congress, the Democrats were founding the KKK. The KKK was founded in opposition to the Republican Party. The KKK dedicated itself to a campaign of violence against Republican leaders and voters, both Black and white. The KKK wanted white supremacy fulfilled through electing Democrats. Democrat states passed racist Jim Crow laws that dehumanized Black people. Republican President Dwight D. Eisenhower sent the National Guard to protect Black students, integrating into all-white schools in Little Rock, Arkansas. Who opposed this? The Democrats who ran that state. A segregationist Democrat ran for president every cycle until the 1980s. The Civil Rights Act outlawed discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, or sex. By percentage, more Republicans voted for the Civil Rights Act than Democrats. Republican President Nixon used federal powers to desegregate even more states. Black Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, nominated by George H.W. Bush. His son, George W. Bush, started an AIDS program that saved over 13 million lives, mostly in Africa. President Trump restored funding to historically Black colleges and universities. President Trump passed the First Step Act, achieving landmark criminal justice reforms. President Trump passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which featured opportunity zones incentivizing long-term investments in low-income communities. Under President Trump, unemployment for Black Americans fell to the lowest number Americans have ever seen, and Black wages rose to the highest numbers in history. Meanwhile, Democrat Governor of Virginia wears blackface multiple times and remains in office while Joe Biden tells me I am not Black unless I vote for him. So tell me, who are the real racists? Who wants to keep you in bondage? Be free. Live free. That is my right as an American.
Hey, you know who pulled the funding from Black colleges? You know who did that?
No, who?
That Trump had to restore?
Who?
Obama.
Oh. Yeah.
Since we're speaking about Blacks, Jesse Jackson passed on.
Yeah, the world's a
And,
safer place too, once again, because he was a race debater, divider too.
And he pretty much, they wanted to have his, they wanted him to be interred in the tomb of the tower, so to speak. And Trump said no. Not Trump, I should say. Speaker of the House said no. Yeah.
Well,
Said
that's
Johnson said no.
not how it works. That's not how it. That's not
No.
how you can't skip the line. You don't get preferential treatment because, well, I guess you're not supposed to because of what? Why? Why would they even do that? Well, he was a Black man.
Right.
Well,
they
then
use
that-
color thing.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So now
It's
if you say no,
reserved-
you're a
it's
racist.
reserved for members. It's reserved for members of the House and the Senate.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And and it's been that way from the day one. So this is their way of trying to strip traditional, to the tradition of America. This is another death, another cut, another death of 1,000 cuts, because they may get their way, because they're gonna, if they keep screaming racism, eventually somebody will cave. It might not be this administration, it'll be the next. Somebody will be like, yes, we're going to do we're going to still exhume Jesse Jackson's body. And they'll put him in there just to screw up a traditional history. But you look back on Jesse Jackson's lifespan in Congress, or not Congress, or whatever he was doing. Any Black
The
person
Rainbow
knows
Coalition
the Rainbow Coalition. Yep.
pretty much is
That was his money. That was his money pot. He would use that coalition to strong arm businesses into his and pay to his organization, which basically just put a bunch of money. I mean, it paid some other people as well, but made him very rich, very rich. He would get out there and scream racism, 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 and
Right.
organize all this stuff in front of people's businesses, and then get paid. And he would get paid bigly, and he would take all that money or buy a bunch of shit for himself and not put any of it in the black community. And yep. And then on top of that, too, by the way, during right after, well, see, he lived through segregation. He was part of that era. And so he knew good and well who was behind it, which was the Democrats. And what's the first thing he does is he gets out there and stands up and runs as a Democrat president, running for the Democrats. And his slogan, his slogan as a Democrat running for president was "Run, run, run," because he was referring to how slaves had to run. I was like, "Motherfucker, you are something else." And he would get all the black people stirred up. He'd go to his rallies and say how superior he was because of his black skin, and you are too. You're superior. You deserve things that you're really not just because you're black. Pretty much, here you go. Oh, you're a black person, so you deserve this. You do. Everybody in the room gets a Cadillac Brougham. Damn it. So that was what his job was. He was Obama. You know why he was quoted not liking Obama. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why?
Tell us.
Because they were too much alike. If you've ever been around a crowd of people at social get-togethers and two people walk in the room that are very much alike, they don't get along.
Yeah. Because they're
Same
both
thing
trying
here.
to get all the attention at the same time.
Yeah. Or it's just something. There's something when two personalities are very similar to each other. Typically, there's a large friction point between the case, whatever that might be, and that's the reason why him and Obama didn't get along. They weren't different at all. They were so much of the same that they just could not stand each other in the same room. So I did a video on that. My thumbnail was like, what I forget. It was "Rest in Peace, Race Baiter." That was what it said on my thumbnail.
What was your last show? I would that you and
me and Matt did.
what
Yeah.
was that about?
It was about, well, I was talking about Epstein and the poop river. Yeah. The DEI chick that they hired to be the waterworks, head person, because you really need to be an engineer. If you're going to be, I mean, I can understand maybe possibly able to get by in some small community where you have a little limited population and there's not much to waterworks, but come on, Washington, D.C.,
Yeah.
it's pretty big. There's a lot of layers to that job, and being an engineer and understanding
DC. I mean, there's so much underground under those buildings. I mean, there's a whole network of stuff. You can't do anything without hitting something. Electrical, steam, water, sewage. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah. So
All that stuff was put in really, really long time ago.
So the lady they hired to do that job basically had no knowledge of that job one bit whatsoever, just pretty much used her position and her funding to try to acclimate and get more people into jobs they didn't deserve. And then they also had the dude, this Gaddis guy, who was the same way. When they brought him on the job, he was on camera talking. This was several weeks before this happened, talking about how the demographics of his job looked like America. In other words, just too many white people. So he fired all of them. He fired all the white people and brought in a bunch of people that looked like him. I was like, that'll fix racism right there. Good go, buddy. All right. So and then you have a poop river now in Washington, D.C. It's pretty wild. And of course it's not their fault. That's how that'll roll out. They'll figure out some kind of way to shift blame onto somebody else, but that's typically how a system works. By the way, I have a video that may or not have seen, but this is how this works. It's a quick little watch, very, very educational. But what I just, what I said was one of the very short list of things necessary for a color revolution and an overthrow of a government.
The Bezmenov psyop is a way to overthrow society without firing a bullet, and it comes in 4 stages. Well, this all really starts with the election integrity issue.
Yeah, I think I've seen this. Yeah.
And it was buried within a larger military grade psyop. a psyop to overthrow society, in which, in my view, COVID and Antifa
You got it turned all the way up.
culture that was
I
a
think
well
so.
organized Bezmenov
Not very
psyop
loud.
for society. But the key pivotal moment was that stolen election. The Bezmenov psyop is a way to overthrow society without firing a bullet, and it comes in 4 stages. It's it's demoralization, disorientation, crisis, and normalization. And what that means is you weaken, you demoralize your opponent, and then you do something that disorients them so they don't know which end is up. Then you're shoving the crisis down their throat.
Just to quickly clarify, your opponent, by the way, isn't a political candidate when he's talking about, and you know this, Dave, but this is just for the public. Your opponent just is a mass of people. Whenever you are an entity that wants to impose this kind of ideology and this agenda, then your opponent is a mass, large group of people, which means it takes a team effort at many layers of this kind of attack, which makes it hard to pinpoint exactly which direction it's coming from and who your enemy is as somebody that's being attacked, which is actually the most, oh my goodness, that when you can administer warfare on a group of people and they don't know who their enemy is, who's firing these shots, these theoretical shots. That is the most successful version of war that you can ever administer. And so, wars need to be the most exactly. Well, that is the most effective form of warfare. When you come out there and use kinetic weapons, firearms, drones, tanks, things like that, that warfare is pretty archaic, and only thing you may get out of that is some form of psychological effect that will further induce the psychological warfare that you're putting on top of what you're doing kinetically. And at this point, to keep people's defenses down, you don't want to use anything that's visible. And so information and psychological operations, and people get psychological operations confused with let's say, for instance, with psychological operations, you think of somebody as being brought into a room against their will and they're hooked to machines, or they're tied to a chair while a psychiatrist tries to hypnotize them. That's not how psychological warfare works.
No.
It's and you know this, but I'm just speaking out and just talking a little bit. Psychological operations work in the manner of you not even knowing they're being. You don't even know that they're happening.
Your perception on things, making you think a certain way based on what they've fed you in a manner that will affect your decisions or whatever, something similar.
Yeah, exactly. And then what happens there is you have a willing subject ready to, asking for more of this kind of stuff. This is where the dangerous liberal white woman comes in, because she has no idea that what she's asking for is only destroying her and the things around them even more, but they want more of it because they see the destruction and don't realize it's them, and they go, oh, I need more of what I just asked for because it's not working. Everything's still going downhill and being destroyed, to the point to where they're sitting in a jail cell eating whatever little crumbs that the facility feeds them and still asking for more of it because it's just getting worse.
It's kind of like having an addiction and it's killing you, but you don't realize it. All you're doing and thinking of is feeding the addiction.
Yeah, well, some people, and this may come to the same conclusion as the infamous liberal white woman. You may know the addiction is harming your body, but there's a point in time where it's hard to turn back. If you've gotten to a certain age level, or your health is to a certain degree of declining, why stop now? Let's just go on with it till it's over with. And so that happens too. I think that when they've convinced themselves that they've done this long enough to where there's no reason to turn back, we want, I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, as far as on what I'm saying, but the thing is
you know what I think? I mean, a good example is our modern media, the way they present things over and over and over to a point with a skew or an agenda attached to it, that it actually influences people and what they think. I mean, and they don't even realize they're being influenced by that media. I mean, good example is that, the kid that got, well, I say kid, but the guy that got shot trying to, break into Mar-a-Lago.
Mhm.
You go to some of the media outlets that are outside the country, and they talk about what was going on. The guy got onto the property. He had a gas can and a shotgun, and of course he was confronted and he got shot and died. But you go to NBC or CNBC, and the whole article all talks about is this person was on at Mar-a-Lago illegal. Doesn't say anything about the gun. Doesn't say anything about the gas. They just say that officers shot and killed. Secret Service shot and killed intruder. And then that was the end of the article, right? And that's the newspaper side of it. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of skewed. It's like they manipulate their viewers by not giving all the information. They can't say, well, we didn't lie. They just didn't give all the information. So a radical person listening to this or reading it is thinking, oh, another government official shooting somebody,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So even though they did say he was an intruder and he did go on there illegally, it's the fact that they omitted the, why he got shot right away.
Yeah.
It's buried way deep down in the article somewhere, probably, maybe.
Well, it's another end. They're not necessarily, the media didn't lie to you, but they did a maneuver to skew your thought process. By the way,
Right.
which is
It's an omission.
the
It kind of makes you think, go a certain direction without all the information.
was it January 12th, 2012? I can't remember what month it was, but it was somewhere in 2012. After Obama signed an executive order, it was codified by his Senate to or his political people, House and Senate, whatever, went up through the House and up through the Senate. But Smith-Mutz Modernization Act, which then greenlit and actually is enabling and pushing media to operate under the guise of a government agenda. That was done in 2012 by Barack Obama. He signed it into law after it was codified. After his executive order was codified, he signed it into law, and that enabled media to they knew what their job was at this point. They've been doing it for years before that. They've been working for a government agenda for years, but they needed a green light, pretty much say, hey, you're good, do what you got to do. We're going to feed you your talking points. And this is, when I say media, I talk about this a lot, and it's probably repetition, but I can't say it enough because there's so many people out there who don't know about this. A lot of people that are very, very well connected and active in political activism, whether it be on the right or the left-hand side, they don't have a clue of what I'm telling them. They never heard of it before. So I was like, yeah, the reason why, because they'll even talk, well, do you know how CNN is? I'm like, well, do you know why? It's because of this right here. And I show that to them. And regardless of who signed it into law, and I point out Obama because I don't like him, so I'm biased on that. But let's just say whoever signed it into law, they had an agenda for a color revolution and a destruction of the country. It just so happened to be Obama that did do this, but it was in the works. It was in part of the, that's been a plan for America way before Obama became into office. They did it they used him because if we were to speak out too much against it, then that would have been, anybody would say, you damn racist. That's basically what they would have started doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I think that a lot of things happen under the guise of under Obama's watch and nobody ever said anything about it because we weren't paying any attention to it. So, but if you started to see things, they would immediately pull the race card. and that was their insurance policy. I think being he was the first. It's just racist. First black president. Everything he does, all these straight white males, which they hadn't developed that talking point yet, but they'd have figured out somewhere along they don't like what he's doing. But they did. But we didn't. Nobody did. Everybody was like, yeah, Obama, okay, he's harmless. He's a cool dude. He's a black guy, whatever. And nobody cared. They just didn't know. But great weapon he was, and then set things up. He did things in his presidency under the covers, no pun intended, that virtually no president has ever done before when it came to bringing in certain people that were and utilizing certain loopholes in the law to make it very hard to get rid of these people once he brought them in. There's a lot of people that's still working alongside your senators and House members that are product of the Obama regime from way back that are doing what they're doing right now. And trying to get rid of them is, immediately now they know he's racist. Look, he's trying to get rid of somebody Obama just because it was Obama. You know how racist that Trump is. They don't report on the fact that they are behind some of the most hateful ever kind of lobbyists, and that's what are my efforts futile? Because meanwhile, while I fuss about all the weird things going on in Congress, Howard Lutnick has not been fired, Pam Bondi's not been fired, Kash Patel's not been fired. That kind of stuff is really and to me, I feel like this is, by the way, speaking on Patrick Byrne. I don't mean to overtalk everybody, but I have a lot to say. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's interesting.
Part of this Bezmenoff color revolution is a demoralization. Imagine a world where we have machines that can manipulate any election at any given moment, right? So, and Nick Flewitt has brought this to my attention, and I kind of already had an idea, but he boxed it up real nice. So I'm going to do my best to paraphrase it. Why would you run somebody as incompetent, stupid, retarded as Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? I mean, think about that. I mean, you could have found a toilet seat would have been more
because they had proof. Tim Walz already had corruption going on. They already knew it. They look, we're already manipulating him over here. He'd be perfect for a vice president because we can.
Well, I think that it was that would have been a perfect byproduct of the situation. To be honest with you, there was those two people there had zero.
People in the know knew this shit was going on way before.
Oh yeah, I didn't know Tim Walz was involved in stuff. I knew he was a Chinese communist agent, but I didn't know he was into that up until recently. So I'm pretty well connected in all this stuff. But there were people from his state, but that's not enough to sway an election. No, they ran him and her because they knew that they wouldn't be elected. That it would be an easy landslide, quote unquote, for Trump. And let me tell you why, in my opinion, they didn't try to even do what they did in 2020 and 2024. Because part of being captured and and kidnapped, and I'm using this reference because if you were to capture and kidnap somebody and you wanted to get something out of that person, whether it be some kind of mind control, MK Ultra person or whatever, you would put them in very stressful situations, very dire situations in this captivity. And then throughout that, there'd be moments of peace and rest and ease to kind of like bring them back out of that stressful situation. And then once that person starts to get acclimated to not being so stressed out, having good meals, not having sleep deprivation, not having music played 24 hours a day where they can actually, think without having something in their ear, you immediately bring it right back. And so we had Biden and he was the beginning of being captured. He put America in such a stressful contention that people were just at the wit's end and just losing it, right? And then they were like, what we'll do? What we'll do is we'll let them get their guy. We'll let these conservatives get their guy. They got a pretty good movement going on. Let's let them think that they're actually going to go through with this. That they're going to win. They're going to get Trump in. Their efforts were they're going to feel so good about themselves.
All excited about it, yeah.
And they'll get all excited about the arrests that are coming and all the stuff that Trump rallied on. And then boom, what we'll do is all of our activist judges that we have in place that Biden put in after he left out, that Obama also put in before he left out, we're going to activate those activist judges. We're going to activate a lot of things so that you're going you guys are going to think you're about to get yours, but you're going to find out that you're going to be so stressed out trying to deal with the new combobulation of watching Trump flail aimlessly. You know, and it's going to bother you because you're going to watch in real time how little anything's going to get done and the effort that you just put into, which puts us right back into that new stressful situation of dire need. And you can't say it's not obvious at this point.
Wow. I just got a thing popped up on my phone said that Trump advisors said that he may authorize a phased military campaign against Iran.
Oh yeah, I bet he will.
I'm like, wow, really? You knew
Yeah,
about
that's
that?
going to end well. See, there's Israel running the show right now. By the way, Trump licking the Israel boots.
Well, I heard
got
we
no
sent
business.
another one of our bigger carriers that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Just the other day.
Meanwhile, China's building up their forces in Canada, working with Canadian military.
Yeah. John, what's going on down there in your area? I know you've been kind of quiet, so
it's
at the top of the hour, you might as well talk us out.
it's not much left to really say. It's just basically what's going on in Mexico's kind of like flowing over to the rest of Central and South America.
Yeah.
Everybody's on edge. Cartels are moving. Like I said, there's almost every single country down here has its own cartel, and the cartels are all intertwined together with the Mexican cartel. And it's even here in Brazil. The one cartel is actually run out of the main prison, and they control the prison.
If you think
What's that?
one will fall, they'll all start falling, or what do you think is going to happen?
You've got to take the main cartel's got to be taken out. They got to take that out first. So they don't take that cartel out, the rest of them will thrive. Somebody will show up as the big gun.
Right.
Somebody will show up. Right. You saw what happened with Venezuela. Venezuela, the cartel. Maduro was the head of that cartel. He was the one that was doing all the talking.
Yeah.
He's removed. All of a sudden now you start to see we're removing people in Mexico. We've got it here in Brazil. We've got it. There's in Colombia. They're all over the place. Each particular country has its own czar, drug cartel czar, that is running the country, so to speak, with their power.
And I'm wondering, with all the crackdowns, if especially with the sinking of the boats and so forth, if that's having a positive effect.
Well, here's something that has not been brought up in the last almost month, been maybe a little over 3 weeks. There have been an average of 1 to 3 gunboats, I should say, drug boats, have been sunk per day.
Oh, really?
Per day. And that's both in the Pacific and in the Caribbean. Most of them are in the Pacific because they feel that they have a better shot of making that swing around. But once again, those are met head on by American Navy fleet, which come out of San Diego. And they managed to go around Baja, California, and they're sitting out there 100 miles out to sea. And here comes the cartel with their boats right at them. They don't even know that they're there because they sit there silently. They're brought in by submarines. It's just so much has been going on. It's almost. I mean, I don't even bother clipping those anymore because I thought, my God, every day I could post 1 or 2 or 3 of them of the gunboats going. It's absolutely crazy, but that's what's going on.
Yeah,
and everybody.
There was a bunch of people just coming up against. Trump can't do that. He can, that's an act of war, and you just can't go out into the ocean and start sinking ships. And now I haven't heard a word about all these other.
Well, they're on to something new right now. The 2 things they're on to right now, they're on the Epstein file. Give us every single file. Give us everything. Blah blah blah. That's one of the things they're on. It's another distraction. And if it's not, it has to do with Epstein. They're going to be talking about the tariffs. The tariffs is now something, but of course, we've already seen what has happened already. They've I don't know if you guys have checked this out, but what Trump has done is exactly legal. There are about 3 or 4 other items on the books that he can use, and he's going to use that'll be able to continue with the tariffs. And
I
you know,
think
here's the other.
real
Well,
effective.
the ironic part. The ironic part about this is with the tariffs. If they are so illegal, then why the hell did all these countries sign them?
Well, now see that's the thing. The court did not say they were illegal. They're illegal to use under that. That what was it? The
Well,
IEP or something.
I
Whatever.
heal
I,
or
yeah,
whatever.
the EF, the IEP, or whatever,
Yeah.
IEEP.
I heal whatever. Underneath that,
But
it's not
you
exactly
still
what
got
they were
120,
designated.
122,
You're not-
and you got the 232. Both
Right.
one that's because of
Wait a minute. Oh, wait.
Right.
For, do you know who brought the case against Trump to the Supreme Court? You know who did that?
do the actual what?
Schubert.
Did no. What caused the whole barrel roll effect of it going to the Supreme Court and these tariffs getting shot down? You know who did that? It was a guy named something Waldenberg. And I did some research. I forget his first name, but I know Waldenberg because I asked Groke. I was like, that sounds really interesting, the way that name is worded. And it's a guy that owns a company that imports Chinese goods and then distributes them across to dealers in the United States. So he doesn't even make anything. It's something Waldenberg.
Just
And
between guy, yeah.
And guess what? He's Jewish. He's an Ashkenazi Jew.
So there you go.
Yeah, so him raising the what is that, the 120, 122, I think
122 point something, whatever.
10% wasn't quite enough, but then the next day
15 now.
he went 15, and now it's just
15,
about exactly the same as overall. But the problem with that is that's what, for only 150 days. But it also kind of makes him think, well, he needs to pressure Congress to do something about these, like to, because him just ordering it is just temporary. He can't make it long term. Or
we can't even get a damn SAVE Act passed.
You would think with us having the majority, we would have these things would be going through just like that. Boom, boom, boom. But it's like they're all sitting on their hands.
I mean,
Well,
I cannot see McCall being in there.
Top of our hour, so.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank everybody for the few people that came in. It was kind of a slow night tonight.
I think I ran everybody off when I started actually speaking factual stuff about Israel. That's the only problem. Nobody wants to hear it.
I don't think so. We had about 7 early on, and then it just kind of faded on down. But anyway,
yeah,
I'm out of here. We'll see you guys next week. And let me click this button, and we'll close. I'm back.